My oldest daughter, she's 12 years old, and she's really good with arts. And I don't know, she makes things out of anything. My youngest daughter, she's 6 years old. She has autism, so she's super creative and she learns differently, right? Animation Discovery Studio is a place for them to utilize their creativity, come back into, they could come and work here and be creative, right? And build their future how they want to. So they poured into the studio just as much as everything else did, if not more than anything, because, I don't want my kids to grow up and feel like they don't have an outlet, a creative outlet, right? Because they're creatives. So I created this company for creatives and they're creatives.